Hi guys, my name's Kate, just starting out my channel. Um, this will be a trans guide channel. I'll be doing tips on binding, packing, um, hormones eventually, how to pass. You know, this will, is generally based for female to male trans people. Um, but I figured today I'd just start off with some binding tips. Um, seeing you have to make sure you do it right. Because if you don't do it right, it messes up your chest and it doesn't end well. Um, it's like there's a fair few ways you can bind. Well, not a fair few, but there's a couple. There's binders like the one I'm wearing, which is from Underworks, which was around about 50 Australian dollars with postage. Um, and this is my only binder, as I've only just started transitioning, but it's relatively comfortable. Um, and yeah, I've even though I shouldn't, I tend to wear it for probably about 12, 13, maybe 14 hours max. But within saying that, like, I know I still shouldn't do it, but I have like an hour or two break in between. Like, if I stop doing what I'm doing for the day, I have a break, and then I put it back on and I go out and I do something else. Um, I've heard that the Gc2b Binders are really comfortable and they get a lot of compression. Um, but I haven't personally experienced them. Um, but another way you can bind is like layering shirts. So like if you don't have a binder or you don't have access to a binder or you can't have one for like safety reasons or you're not out or whatever the reason may be, um, I've noticed if you put like a tight tank top on and then you put a big long sleeve shirt or a button up shirt, like a button up dress shirt. I have one that I particularly wear when I go out in public because I can leave the first couple of buttons undone so you can't see my binder. And then the rest of it, it looks really masculine and it looks really well. Looks really good. Um, Another way could be sports bras. Um, I Before I got my binder, which was only about 6 months ago, I was using compression tank top sports bras, like your high impact sports bras that are like, I got it a size smaller so that it was tight and it was enough to flatten. But within doing that, it wasn't able to flatten me enough. So I had to wear the button up shirts and the like big baggy shirts to kind of cover my chest. But even if you wear like a couple of them over the top, like a couple of them like on top of each other, to try and get as much compression as you can, but you need to make sure, like with a binder, you have breaks. You shouldn't wear it for more than 8 hours. And you need to make sure that you're able to breathe and you need to stretch and open your chest up and make sure you're taking care of yourself whilst doing this. Um, but I feel like sports bras would probably be the most convenient and the least expensive and probably the best way to go about it. Um, Especially if you're swimming. If you're swimming, it won't end well if you wear a binder. Like, because once your binder's wet, it compresses, and it shrinks, and it's real tight on your chest, and it gets real difficult. Um, but I guess, yeah. I guess another way that you could do it, even though you're not meant to, I've used KT tape and kinsiology tape, which is basically what KT tape is. it's your muscle tape that you use whilst you're playing sports. I've had to use it so I didn't dislocate my knee. It basically just holds everything into place. But if you were to do that, it only you shouldn't do it. You really shouldn't do it. But if you're going to, probably an A or a B cup max. Because I'm a C and I have to use 5 or 6 pieces to make sure that it covers my whole breast. Whereas I've noticed a lot of people with smaller chests are able to just use the 1 or the 2 straps, start here, and somewhat stretch it out to the side and tape underneath the arm, just below your armpit, just enough to kind of smooth it out. But there's also a lot of risk in doing that as well, because it adjusts the placement of your breasts. Like if you're constantly pulling them to the side, they're eventually going to sort of migrate and move outwards. Whereas with your binders, when you put it on, it generally looks flatter if you just keep it like on. But it'd be better if you pull your breast up and you leave it sit, because then it can just completely squish it down, and then that doesn't really damage your tissue and your muscle and your skin and all that as much. Whereas with your KT tape, yeah, as I said, it affects the position, it affects the skin. A lot of people that I've known that have used KT tape have had irritation regarding the glue that's on it and the fact that they take it off every day. You're meant to, like, if you're using it for like a sports injury, you're meant to leave it on for 4 to 5 days, preferably a week. So if you're constantly ripping that tape off and putting more on, you're going to get a lot of bacteria growth and a lot of infection, and it's going to really damage your chest and damage your skin, and it's not going to be the best option. But within saying that, whatever way you decide to bind, you need to make sure you're doing it safely, and you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You need to drink a lot of water. You need to make sure that every half an hour or so, you're stretching, you're opening your chest, you're keeping your back straight, especially if you want to pass. Because if you're sitting there hunched, like I have a real bad habit of doing, it's not going to work out the best.